To rent or to buy in Seattle? That is the question. Hey guys, in this week's episode, I've got Hector Guadarrama from Cross Country Mortgage to help us break down the numbers so you can decide whether to rent or to buy a home in Seattle. Hector, before we jump in, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
For sure. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on, May. It means a lot. I have been a loan originator for the past 4 years, but I've worked in the mortgage world for about 6. So I know the ins and outs of the mortgage world pretty well at this point.
Right. I mean, Hector, you've been a mortgage professional for a while now, and I'm sure you get asked this question all the time in terms of whether someone should buy or rent, right?
Right. Absolutely. A lot of my clients don't realize initially the downside of not investing in a mortgage. And they're usually a little bit scared of the financial investment at first. Mortgages aren't anything to be scared of. They present a wonderful opportunity. Owning is great because the biggest downside people don't really keep in mind is that more often than not, when you pay rent, you're usually already paying a mortgage. It's just not your own. It's your landlord's.
Awesome point, Hector. And that's what a lot of renters don't realize is that when you pay someone else's mortgage, you're not only putting money in your landlord's pocket, you're also building your landlord's wealth, aka equity, which we've been hearing a lot of these days. And that's a word that often confuses people. I know myself, before I was in real estate, I'd hear equity and I didn't know what that meant. So Hector, why don't you help me break down what equity means?
Equity is, in essence, the difference between what your home is worth and what the balance is due on your home. So for example, if I bought a home a few years ago and my mortgage was like $250,000, right? A few years ago, that's what my home was worth. I would have zero equity because I bought it for what it was worth, 250, and that's how big my loan amount is. However, with how homes have appreciated, let's say now, the home cost is worth $500,000 and my loan amount is now maybe, 230 or something like that. Now, if the home is worth, $500,000, there's a big gap right there of equity. Right. So, I'm going to have $270,000 worth of equity just for living in the home. That's an investment. That's why we've been hearing that word a lot lately. Actually, a lot of people are in that exact situation. They purchased a few years ago and they've seen their property value rise substantially. There are many factors as to why property values have gone up. But, at the end of the day, property values are going up. Generally, they don't go down. So since their property values have increased, their equity has as well, which as a result, their wealth also has increased because their home is worth more now. So, honestly, that's pretty cool.
And in other words, so if you bought a home a few years back and decided to sell today, the equity would more or less be your profit today, right?
Correct.
So, and in fact, and I know you have experience with these, Hector, there's a way to tap into the equity by doing what's called a cash out refinance. I know a lot of people, I have a lot of clients that intend to use a cash out refinance to leverage to maybe pay off student loans, or even as a strategy to invest in other property, use that equity to purchase more investment properties, right?
Absolutely. It's great to pay off student loans. It's great to pay off any other credit lines. It's great. The best use for a cash out refinance, in addition to clearing out your debt, if you have any, is absolutely to use that money to purchase another property. That is another investment that is growing your wealth. You know what I mean? And it's literally that money came from a home that you already have. So, it's a really cool thing when it comes to cashing out. Unfortunately, when you rent, you don't have those options. In other words, when you pay your rent, you're never going to see that money again. You might get your deposit back, but that's at the end of the day, that's a drop in the bucket. Just to illustrate this, I did a quick search on Zillow. Zillow is a great resource for anyone like starting to dip their toes in. It's by no means is it the written law, but it is a great resource for people to utilize. The average home price here in Seattle, according to Zillow, is $888,202. And likewise, I also looked up the median rent price in the city, which is, as follows. For a 1-bedroom unit on average, it's about $2,435. For a 2-bedroom unit, on average, it's about $3,452. And then for a 3-bedroom, it's about $4,024. So keep all these numbers in mind, because these are very important to the to the point I'm going to be making here in a moment. So if we compare that to buying, for example, a $900,000 home with a 20% down payment, and if you'd like to have me back in another video, I'd love to go over low down payment options. There are low down payment options as well as no down payment options. A lot of people think that they have to have the 20%, and the 20% will get you the best loan usually in terms of, like loan terms, interest rate. You won't have mortgage insurance, which that's another great topic we can touch up on here in a future video. But if you were to buy a $900,000 home with a 20% down payment, you would have a mortgage of about $710,561. And factoring in property taxes, today's interest rate, we would be looking at a monthly payment, an estimated monthly payment of about $3,007. So in other words, if you factor in today's interest rate, you'd be paying more in rent for a 2 or 3 bedroom home or townhome or apartment than you would if you were paying for your own mortgage every month.
Great point, Hector. And let's not forget that when you own your own home, you also have more flexibility than when you are renting. Since when you rent, you're living in someone else's home. And that means you don't have the freedom to do certain things. For example, you may need to get permission from the landlord to do something as simple as hammering a hole in the wall for a TV mount, painting your bedroom walls, or even whether or not you can have pets.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but I've got a little buddy right back here. He's just chilling. But as long as you follow local bylaws, and if you need like a building permit, for example, like if you want to make any kind of changes to the exterior of your home, the interior, depending on the scope of the upgrades, you can pretty much do whatever you please when you're the property owner, which that flexibility is a major reason why many people, especially many of my clients and your clients, choose to make the transition from renter to owner.
Right.
And another thing which, we can talk about later on is that there are tax benefits, which, people don't like to hear about taxes, but like taxes are scary, but tax benefits are not. There are certain tax deductions that can be made when you own a home. For example, you might be able to deduct mortgage insurance up to $750,000 on your taxes. On a state and local level, you might be able to deduct up to $10,000 in property sales and income tax. Interest that's paid on home equity loans, also known as HELOCs, if that's familiar to anyone, they may also be tax deductible in some situations where the funds are used to improve a home, right? Like such as a kitchen renovation or a new addition, like, and again, like we were talking about. At the end of the day, this translates into a lot of savings that, you wouldn't be able to take advantage of if you rented instead of owned.
Awesome. Yeah. And guys, who doesn't like to save on taxes, right? That is huge. Once again, awesome points, Hector. And that's exactly why it breaks my heart anytime I meet someone who's been renting, especially at the same location for 5, 10, or even sometimes 20 years or more. I imagine all the equity that could have been accumulating instead of throwing their money away each month. It breaks my heart. Literally, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane, especially when you look at the numbers. I mean, you brought up that some people have been renting at the same location for 5, 10, or 20 years. If you're renting a place for $3,000 a month over 5 years, you're going to have spent $180,000 on rent. That is $180,000 that you're never going to see again. If you rent at that price, which, I mean, again, that's the average rent for, here in Seattle for 10 years, that's $360,000. Think about that. Like, just think about that for a second. The numbers get scarier and scarier the more that the more time that passes. To me, honestly, it just makes sense to be putting my hard-earned money to work rather than just watching it disappear.
100%. That's why I believe it's a smart move to invest in a home rather than spend money on rent. With that being said, I definitely agree. A future video would be in order. We can go more into detail about low down payment options, FHA, as well as the tax benefits that you briefly mentioned today. And Hector, how can people get in touch with you?
You can call or text me at my cell phone, which is 435-225-0387. Again, my cell number is 435-225-0387. My email address, if you have any questions you want to send me through email, it's Hector, Hector, at myccmortgage.com. Again, it's Hector at myccmortgage.com. And, if you'd like to go so far as to apply to purchase a home, you can do so at my website. I do have a website. It's www.homeloanswithhector.com. Thanks again for having me on to chat, May. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And always, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Thanks so much. Until next time.
You're like a circle that floats around.